Jesus died to save the entire world. Today, he's training us in grace so that we can go out and influence someone else's life. That's why I'm so grateful for the friends and partners of this ministry who freely and cheerfully give financial offerings to support us. You understand our vision and you help us in so many ways to reach those who are searching for hope in the midst of darkness. Thank you for empowering us to expand God's kingdom worldwide.
Your financial donations into this ministry work all over the world to change countless lives. If you'd like to support our efforts to save the lost, you may call in or visit CrefloDollarMinistries.org today. God bless you.
See, this series is going to be trying to help you to learn how to live. Living. That's when you get God's best, when you learn how to live instead of religion where you go in a closet, ask for your desire, and then come out looking for it. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to learn how to live with Him. And I don't want to live with Him being my side partner. I want to live with Him doing the work through me. Here's my relationship with God. Here's my body. Obviously, in the physical world, you need it to do some things. Maybe you don't. But here's my body. What do you want to do through it? I keep trying to get you to work with me, and you keep trying to convince me that I just want to work through you. Come on, Lord, work with me. No, I don't want to go. I want to work through you. You're trying to get me to yield to you. I want you to yield your body to me, and I want to work through you. I want to speak through you. I want to operate through you. I want to bless through you. I want to do so much through you that your whole being starts getting used to my presence. But that ain't going to happen if you keep praying, come on, Lord, work with me, work with me, work with me. God, like, I've been working with you. You ain't changed yet. And then he says, you can't do this, so I'm going to work through you. I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm going to a place where I'm going to look back one day and wonder, does anybody understand what I'm saying? Because I want to dig deep on this thing. And flexibility is as a part of my emotional maturity. And so at least I know that this is something I can begin to believe God for to help me to be more flexible. Now look at this. First, King James Version, 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 19 through 23. And here's what he says. Now listen to this. See if you can spot the flexibility here. For though I be free from all men, Jesus is speaking, though I be free from all men, yet have I made myself a servant unto all. That's flexible, isn't it? Why? That I might gain the more. And unto the Jews, he said, all right, well, this is Paul here. Unto the Jews, he said, I became as a Jew, that I might gain the Jews. That's flexible, isn't it? To them that are under the law, I became like those who were under the law, that I might gain them that are without the law. And unto the Jews I became a Jew, that I might gain the Jews, and to them that are under the law, as under the law, that I might gain them that are under the law. Verse 21, to them that are without law, I became one without law, being not without the law of God, but under the law to Christ, that I might gain them that are without law. 22, to the weak I became as weak, that I might gain the weak. And I made all things to all men, that I might by all means save some, not everybody, but save some. And this I do for the gospel's sake, that I might be partakers thereof. Paul said, for the sake of the gospel, I will be flexible. For the sake of the gospel, I will be flexible, that I might win some. He says, oh, I know I'm not going to win everybody, but I'm gonna allow my emotions to mature enough so that I can be flexible. There are preachers in the pulpit these days that they're not trying to be flexible, you know, for the sake of excellence in the ministry and for the sake of being strong leaders. No, You know, if you decide to do that, you can't get in front of the people and change your mind. If you said that, you can't get in front of people. And you got to be flexible. You got to be flexible. If I preach something and I realize, dude, that's harmful, that's wrong, that's misleading, be flexible enough to change it so you can win somebody. But you can't be like unwilling to adapt. Am I willing to adapt so I can win some? What we've practiced is the marrying of methods. Are you married to a method? And so God can't deal with you on nothing else because you're so married to that method. You're the guy that thinks he can only open a blind eye by spit. God's got a million ways to open somebody's blind eye because he's flexible to that. And I'm learning that as a minister of the gospel, how important it is to yield to the transformation. There's a huge transformation that's happened in our society. Okay? I'm not talking about, getting into agreement with something that's wrong. I'm talking about looking at what's happening. You know, words. You can take a word that was used in 1946 and use the same word today, and it has a totally different meaning. And so if the preacher doesn't become adaptable, we had become adaptable and flexible with social media. I couldn't stand it, but it was just too big to ignore. Okay? I didn't want to be the last person on the earth to stop selling cassette tapes. You have to be flexible. Things have changed. Are you willing to be flexible? And I think that's a part of emotional maturity. I think that's a big part of it, to be able to make some of those changes. And we're still making them, and I'm still growing, and I'm still trying to see the areas where I need to even be more flexible with certain things. Even how I preach sermons and to talk to you on a level of where things are right now today. I don't need to talk to you from 103 BC. You don't even know what I'm talking about, 103 BC. And you got to be ready as a Christian to demonstrate emotional maturity. So don't try to avoid the ugly. You're right slap dab in the middle of the ugly. So be mature enough in your emotions that those emotions won't find a trigger that leads you down the negative path. And you're a good person and you love God, but you're ended up in jail because you lost it. Well, I don't appreciate how she spoke to my wife or how he spoke to my wife. Brother, there's a lot of people cussing your wife out on show. What, you going to sit there and go through all of them? I know you live it. I'm coming to see you. Now you lying because you don't know where they live at. Emotional maturity. Emotional maturity. And I think a part of that, me maturing emotionally is also me accepting this place of yielding to transformations, to different situations, and this is what's happening right now. It's not compromise. I know it seems like a real thin line. We're not compromising anything. We're just making our mind up that we're going to be emotionally mature, not to let all those other things cause us to reject being adaptable to the nasty situations that may come our way. And adaptable doesn't mean join the nasty. Adaptable means your nasty is not going to compromise my emotions. Does that make sense? It's not going to compromise my emotions, okay? Whew, this is going to be interesting. Okay, so let's look at this, 1 Corinthians 10:33. 1 Corinthians 10:33. The scriptures really do speak for themselves. So you see how these different points are going to be tying into emotional development. So I know that I'm emotionally mature when I see flexibility growing in my life, okay? You're never going to be flexible to the junk. You're going to be flexible in the things of God and flexible enough to allow him to show you the adjustments you need to make in order to minister and deal with those situations. Okay? I have to say that, and I'm constantly working on trusting God to help me to give utterance to a thing. That's why you hear me say things like over and over again from different perspectives, so that hopefully I can cover every perspective in the room. And then there'll still be somebody on social media that'll hear it this way when I meant it that way. And then that's when I say, well, maybe God will give me something later on down the line to kind of help out in that. Now, verse 33 says, even as I please all men in all things, even as I please all men in all things, he says, not seeking my own profit, but the profit of many, that they may be saved. Even as I please all men in all things, not seeking my own profit. So I want to become flexible there. I don't want to just do things to seek my own, okay? I want to do things to seek for somebody else in their life. Profit just for myself versus profit for somebody else, that they might be saved. So what can I do to profit somebody else's life so they can be born again? What can I do to profit somebody else's life so they can benefit in the things of God? Okay? That may mean I may have to be kind when they're not. I may have to be forgiving when certain things come their way. Yeah, all of these things, am I willing to do that? I may have to show grace when I'm not really interested in showing you any grace at all. I want to ghost you, leave me alone, get out of my life, go away. That's definitely immature. So I am saying to you, I'm saying you, emotional maturity is really going to be demonstrated when I can adapt to the wrong coming my way instead of the good coming my way. It's easy to chill with the good that's coming your way, but that's not real where you live right now. There's a lot of bad coming your way, and as Christians, we like to avoid it, act like it's not there, hide from it. No, I want to adapt to it, and it's just many opportunities where I have an opportunity to. I've had several opportunities. People were saying ugly things about me, and I say something nice to them. Or, I get blasted in the media a lot, so I don't catch all of it, but the little I catch, I'm like, all right, God, so how do you want me to handle this situation? Sometimes he says, a lot of times he told me back then, you're not ready to handle anything, just be quiet. In fact, God went so far one time, I was in Washington, and he said, learn the vocabulary of silence. Yeah, that's how emotionally immature I was. Don't say none and make it worse than what it already is. Just learn to pack. And what I learned is even by me being silent, God was being flexible enough to do things even when I thought I was the one that had to do it. And then I'm like, somebody says, how'd it happen? I'm like, God did that, So all of the things that may happen to you are hurt in a relationship. Are you willing to be flexible enough to say, I'm not going to retaliate based on what you did to me, I'm not going to retaliate emotionally and in a harsh, wrong, demonic way. I'm going to retaliate and be flexible enough to retaliate in good, okay? I'm going to do you good and make you happy. No, I don't want to do him good. I want to do him bad like he did me. That's an emotional, immature person. That's gonna get you in trouble all the time. A marriage that could have stayed together and a marriage that would have stayed together if you were emotionally mature enough to be flexible. But most of the time it's like, no, you hurt me, I want to hurt you. You made me feel bad, I want to make you feel bad. Those are immature kids having a little playground fights. And I think if anybody needs to mature, it needs to be the Church of Jesus Christ. We have to mature in our emotions. We have to mature in our emotions. So, are y'all getting this? I know this is the first series, but So let's look at, I think we got time. Let's start the second phase of this. How do I know? The Bible facts about flexibility. So all of this is on flexibility. So here's what we look at about flexibility. We are to correspondingly adapt to change in situations and conditions. That's kind of what I've been talking about. But can you adapt to change in situations and conditions? Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, to everything there is a season, and there is a time to every purpose under the heaven. Can I adapt to the seasons? Matthew chapter 9, verse 14 to 15. Matthew chapter 9, 14 to 15. He said in verse 14, then came to him the disciples of John, saying, why do we and the Pharisees fast often, but thy disciples fast not? In verse 15, and Jesus said unto them, can the children of the bride chamber mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? But the days will come when the bridegroom shall be taken from them, and then they shall fast. He says, let's make some adjustments here. They're not fasting right now because of what they're going through, but when they finish, then they'll fast. Let's make some adjustments. Let's be willing to do that. And then I love Luke 9 and 3, and then Luke 22. Watch what happens here in Luke 9:3. Jesus was talking to his disciples, getting ready to send them out 2 by 2. And he said unto them, take nothing for your journey, neither the stage, nor the scrip, neither bread, neither money, neither have 2 coats apiece. So he's giving them the instructions, don't take anything for your journey. And he was very specific. Don't take your purse, don't take money, don't take bread, don't take anything, because he's trying to show them, I can take care of you. All right? You're going to see a lot of this scripture in the upcoming weeks. And then in Luke 22 and 35, 36, it goes along. It concludes what happened here in Luke chapter 9 and 3. Luke 22, 35 and 36, and he said unto them, when I sent you without purse and scrip, without shoes, he asked the question, did you lack anything? And they said, nothing. They said, you sent us without anything, and we lack nothing, Lord. Then said he unto them, but now that you know I can take care of you, he that hath a purse, let him take it, and likewise his scrip take it, and he that has no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. We got to be careful. You know how we take things out of the Bible, out of context, and we turn them into tradition? You know? And somebody can get up and say, Jesus says when you go on a journey, don't take nothing with you. Okay, but then he came back after the journey. He said, well, did you lack anything? No. He says, now, all the stuff I told you you couldn't take, you can now take it. That's amazing to me. That's how we get involved in so much bad teaching, is because we get hooked up to one perspective without reading long enough. So notice this was Luke 9. If you stopped at Luke 15, you would have never got the conclusion of Luke 9. And that's how I'm trying to show people. Read things in context. Context is king. Don't go off, running off like you got this big revelation and no, because Jesus here is demonstrating, look at the flexibility. I told them to do this time, but now that they know it's me, I'm flexible, man. Go take it and put it all up. He didn't, start some religion that says, now everybody's got to suffer for the rest of their lives. Nobody can never have no more food. You're going to be barefooted all your life. You can't have no money or nothing. He says, you now know that I can take care of you. You can pick all that up. Thank God he's flexible. I thank God so much that he is flexible. And sometimes some preachers and some people don't think he is. I mean, I can think of a lot of doctrines that have gotten started over just not reading the whole context. And it's like, man, that ain't good. The Bible says if your eye offend you, pluck it out. You better read the rest of that. If your hand defeat you, chop it off. You better read the rest of it. Isn't it amazing, though? Even if you don't read the rest of it, you ain't plucking your eye out. Now, what's that? You ain't cutting your hand off. What's that? You say you really believe this Bible, but ain't no hands been cut off by mistake or nothing, and there no eyes been plucked out. What's up with that? See, we gotta really ask ourselves, do we really believe what we think we believe? Because deep down inside, you know there's something else to this. I may not know it right now, but there's something else to this. God is flexible. It's like, dude, it's like, you know, somebody says, well, you know, you're going to go to hell. Oh, what are the reasons they send people to hell? Just all kinds of stuff, you know. You're going to go to hell if you don't come back to church after the COVID thing. You're going to go to hell if you get a tattoo. You're going to go to hell if you have a bad day. For real? You think we have that type of stiff-necked God in heaven? Ha! You sinned, you're going to hell. You think that one bad day is going to be the whole... You just got to know God is like much deeper than that. I just know he's much deeper than that. I know him now, so I know that for a fact. But he's much deeper than what the church gives him. Oh, you got saved, but you didn't get baptized. You ain't going to make it in. Are you serious? Seriously think that God's going to have a line for people to get in and a line for people who got tattoos, they ain't getting in because they wrote on themselves. For real? And there are people, you know, there's a line for ladies who wear dresses and a line for waiters who wear pants. And the ones with the pants, that line's going to do a little circle and you're going to have a sliding board right into the fiery furnace. It's just... I can't hardly, it just bugs me. When I was teaching on tithing, people thought, well, we ain't got to give no more. I ain't never tell you not to give no more. In fact, I never told you didn't have to give 10% no more. I told you there's a better way of giving. There's a more successful way of giving. Out of your heart, giving generously unto the Lord without the fear of having a curse over your life because you didn't give like the Old Testament priesthood was ordered to give. And you're cursed with a curse. Seriously, you take the curse, now you put it back on me. You take it, you put it back on me. That sounds like a double-minded God who's not flexible. You're trying to say God compromises his word. No, I'm not. God doesn't compromise his word at all. But he did make it clear that through the blood of Jesus, we have a new covenant. We have a new way of dealing with man. He's flexible by pure fact. He took you out of the Old Testament where there was no hope and gave you a New Testament where he would show up and do things you couldn't do. In the Old Testament, you worked for God. In the New Testament, he works for you. Look at our flexible God.